recognize the member for Don Valley East.
For the Premier, Madam Speaker. 10 years ago, the vaccination rate for measles in Ontario was 94%. Then in 2018, that happened, and the Premier went on a rampage. He slashed hundreds of millions of dollars in public health funding, forced chaotic amalgamations of public health units, eviscerated vital public programs like wastewater testing, and silenced
Government
public health
side will come to order.
Now the vaccination rate for measles in Ontario is only 70%, and he has single-handedly managed to undo a century of public health progress. He's made us a leader, not of anything that we want to be proud of, but in cases of measles across the continent. We now have
Government
more
side
cases
will
of
come
measles
to order.
in Ontario than all 50 U.S. states combined.
For shame.
Madam Speaker, why won't the Premier say anything about measles or take any action?
Response, I recognize the Minister of Health.
Speaker, where do I start? First of all, they were absolutely amalgamations of public health units that were welcomed and asked for. We made it available. The public boards brought forward their recommendations. We accepted. We actually invested to ensure that they could do those amalgamations, specifically regarding measles. Absolutely, it is disturbing to hear that a preventable illness is not being.
I don't want to start naming, especially ministers. Please, would the government side come to order? I apologize. The minister can continue.
We have been very clear that there is a measles vaccination available, has been available for over 50 years, that we need to ensure people have access to. We have directed public health units over a year ago to refocus their efforts to ensure that they were doing childhood vaccination, getting that catch-up. We have ensured that there are sufficient measles vaccinations available to all public health units, and we have assured local communities that have a higher rate of influxation that they are getting the support they need.
And I recognize the member for Don Valley East.
Madam Speaker, the results speak for themselves. There are children in Ontario who are hospitalized with measles. There are parents with sick children searching online to figure out if their kids might have measles. You know, last year I revealed that the Premier has over 32,000 people in his riding without a family
Minister of
doctor.
Natural Resources, I can hear you.
Amazingly, he has managed to outdo himself. He now has constituents in his own urban riding being notified that they were exposed to measles, like just recently at the Woodbine Mall and Fantasy Fair. Madam Speaker, I actually have to give it to the Premier because he's done something that is really quite extraordinary. He's done to measles what he was supposed to do to housing, and done to housing what he was supposed to do to measles. Measles was supposed to go to zero, and housing was supposed to spread like wildfire. Madam Speaker, to the Premier, when will the Premier finally get serious and take meaningful action about our worst outbreak in 3 decades?
Back to the Minister of Health for response.
You know, it's actually quite sad that the member opposite is trying to politicize what is a deeply concerning outbreak in the province of Ontario. We have a measles outbreak in communities that is spreading, and we have ensured through public awareness campaigns, through almost a 20% increase in public health unit budget spending, to ensure that people understand the value and the importance of getting their children vaccinated. We will continue to do that because, unlike the member opposite, I do not want to politicize this. I want to make sure people have the support they need and get the vaccine when it's appropriate. Thank you.
Supplementary.
Madam Speaker, if this government purports to take health care so seriously, why are the results so poor? And it's because this government is more concerned with politicking and grandstanding with goons rather than addressing the health of children. Example, last week the Minister of Education wrote a letter to all parents at daycare warning them about possible changes to federal childcare funding that might happen in March 2026. The Minister of Education had 2 options, Madam Speaker. Write a letter to fearmonger about hypothetical childcare changes 1 year from now, or write a letter to inform parents about measles and educate them about immunization. Of course, he ignored measles. Madam Speaker, this government always chooses its own interests over Ontario's interests, and its half-hearted measures to address measles have failed. When will the Premier take real action?